Hi everyone, Kathy Beltran with Wings and Whispers. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to talk about the supplies that you're going to need to create the angel wings sculpture right behind me. I know that I talked about in the introductory video that I recommend you going small. These wings here are about a little over 5 feet long. And so the smaller the better, especially when you're first starting to draw out your designs. You're going to, your progress will be much faster. And then after that, you could go bigger. So let's get started. One of the first things you're going to need is cardboard. In the introductory video, I talk about all the types of cardboard you can use. I won't go into detail with that, but I'll refer you to that video. One that I found for you is one from Walmart. It's about an 18 by 18 by 24 inch rectangular box. So what I recommend if you want to make this design and the different layers to it, you would probably need about 3 of those boxes, and I believe they're at least $3 each. So definitely cardboard. You're going to need tracing paper. I have a pretty large roll here, but you can also use a tracing pad and just take, 6 sheets maybe, and tape them together using the Scotch tape. And you'll be able to use that instead of buy the big roll that I have. The roll that I have is about 24 inches by 20 feet long. The next thing I want to talk about is, the pencils. You'll need lots of pencils, erasers, a sharpener right on hand, and a protractor. This will help you as you draw out and sketch out your designs. And this is one of the most important things here in the drawing phase, because it actually helps you with your net piece and getting that design really, shaped correctly. So definitely a protractor. I actually was lucky enough because I had kids at home and I'm like, oh, I know I can use this. A measuring tape, and this kind of keeps you in the dimensions of your box too, and as you're drawing it out. One of the most important things I'm going to say first is a cutting mat. A cutting mat, or something that protects your surface when you're drawing, when you are painting, machining, cutting, everything. So I actually have a 24 by 36 inch viscose cutting mat that I got at Walmart. You don't have to have this. It was probably $17, but I use the front side. It actually has all the measurements on it as well, and the grid lines. That could actually help you with your drawing. Again, they come in different sizes. I use this mainly, but the other things you could use is I have a 2 by 2 foot by 1/2 inch plywood cutting board. And I'll use that for cutting cardboard if I'm using really big pieces and I'm on the floor. So you want something to protect you, your legs, and how you're angling your cardboard as you're cutting it. So definitely keep that in mind. The ruler. So I use a variety of rulers depending on the size that I'm using. So just you want something that you'll be able to use in the shaping process, because this you'll use in your drawing as well as your shaping and molding. I also have a paint stick, and it actually has the measurements on here as well. This is a pretty large one. This is one that I use definitely for shaping and molding. You can get this for like a bucket, the paint area in Lowe's or Home Depot. I also use the large yardsticks. You will need a variety of tapes. So I already talked to you about the Scotch tape. Packaging tape, I typically use this for cardboard when I have really bad pieces or cutouts with the hand grips, and I have the little flaps there. So before I cut anything, I'll look at my cardboard and I'll put some of the packaging tape on the front and the back side. We'll talk more about that later. Definitely masking tape. Masking tape, I have 2 different sizes, the 1 inch and the 2 inch. I typically use the bigger one for the bigger projects, but I'll use a lot of this. So definitely have a roll on hand. I have used scissors. You're going to need that for the tissue paper. Cutting box. I almost forgot what this was. One of these, and you'll need your X-Acto knives. So let's talk a little bit about these. So they sell these in individual packs, and you'll get a couple extra blades with it. They're fairly inexpensive. I bought this set off Amazon, and it came in a set with a bunch of different blades. But I like it because it has this rubber handle. And what you'll find as you're cutting and cutting and cutting the cardboard is your fingers get really sore, you'll start getting calluses, and if you're doing it too much, you might even get a blister. So I also use the pencil grips, and I cut those to size. So definitely have those on your pencils as well. Tissue paper. Tissue paper, I have a large pack of this, and you won't necessarily need a very large pack. This might last me, God, I don't even know how many angel wings, but so definitely have some tissue paper. I use the white. If you have newspaper, great. I mean, I can't find it, but it'll be, you can definitely use that. I usually buy these little bread loaf pans, and I'll use these when I am painting sometimes. Definitely for the Mod Podge and the gesso that we'll get to later. I also have a new sponge, and I'll dampen that and put it on like a little plate. And as you're working with the tissue paper, your hands are just, when you grab it, it's just not going to grab just one. So definitely keep that in mind. The tissue paper, you're going to want to cut in a bunch of different sizes. And I usually have another Tupperware container right on the working table, and I just cut a bunch of different sizes there. We'll talk more about that later. The types of brushes I use for the glue, the Mod Podge, or the Mache glue, if you're going to do DIY one, will be I just use the value pack. They're about I typically use the 1 inch to 2 inch pack. So these are great. Definitely clean them. They'll last a long time, especially if you keep them for just these projects. The paint brushes I typically use will be fan brushes. I have a variety of different sizes. I would recommend you pick maybe a medium-sized fan brush to begin with, and to work the different layers. You can still use maybe this size and do all of what I'm doing behind there. As you progress and you want to try different ones, that will work too. I also have a variety of liner brushes, and this will help with the detailed work, as well as you'll use these to, if you want to sign your name on the back or write a little message if you're giving these to somebody. So definitely fan brushes, liner brushes. You will be using a glue gun and glue sticks. So I have both different sizes, the large one and the small one, but make sure that you have the correct one. If you need to go buy glue, make sure to go and buy the correct size for the gun that you're using. I also add crystals to my sculptures. And so I have like little, sometimes they're like 1/2 inch to 1 inch points of quartz crystal, rose quartz, black tourmaline, citrine, amethyst. I will use these. So I just have a little bowl, and depending on what I want to use, I'll add that. The water, I want to get back to the water here. I have a large spray bottle, and if you're going to do the wings that I'm going to do, which is probably a small to medium size, I will actually end up using the entire bottle when I'm molding and shaping the pieces. What I typically do is I want my sculpture to be more sacred. I want to have, add this extra bit of love in it. So I actually add about 20 drops of sage essential oil to my mix, but I also make my own DIY Holy Blessed water, and you can find that in the group, the recipe for that. Add a little bit of that, and when you're working the pieces and shaping and molding, the room smells fantastic, but you're just infusing this water and this blessed water into your project. So if you don't want to do that, you can just use regular water. Paints, let's talk about paints. So these are just a variety of types that I use. I use chalk paint. I have tons of chalk paint, acrylic paints, different brands, different varieties. You want to really think about the colors that you want to do. These are just some samples here, not necessarily the ones that I've used here. You will also need some varnish. I typically use satin, but you can go ahead and do gloss or matte, whichever one you prefer. You will use this to finish your piece off. Mod Podge. So this comes in either matte or gloss, and this is the 32 full ounce size. I got it at Walmart, and I think it's probably about 10 bucks. You can use this. It's easier for me to do. I don't want to make my own Mache glue, but there are definitely recipes online that you can find to do that to save you some money. The other thing I use is gesso. So that prepares my surface. It's more smoother. You don't necessarily need to do that, but it will help when you're doing the feathers. So I actually have a really big container of it. You can find smaller sizes, and the smaller one will actually work for you as well. Molding paste. Now that is something that I use when I'm fixing deep creases, cutouts, and if I'm adding things to the actual sculpture. There are other things that you can do. I'm actually looking into a paper mache clay. So as I get into that, I'll definitely share that with you. But there's a gal on Facebook that does that, and I'm definitely going to try it. So other things that I use are the empty pie tins and definitely a water reservoir. You want something to be able to mix your water, add water, and things like that. And you're going to actually use this with the painting technique with the feathers. So definitely something tall. A bowl will be fine. Paper towels, for sure. You will need to put the pieces together, something to hang it. You're going to need a drill, some drill bits. And if you don't have that, that's fine. You can purchase a all punch, and they're like $2 on Amazon. I believe they're $2, but you can find them in any of the hardware stores or areas of the store. So this will work in place of this, but you're going to want to have a piece of wood underneath as you're using this with a hammer. So to definitely protect your surface. The shaping tools that we are going to talk about is I use pool noodles, a lot of different varieties or different sizes of them. So I have the diameter is this one, and let me go with the small one so you can see. So I have different sizes of this. I actually buy a whole bunch and then I cut them. So I will typically have different sizes. I'll cut them into these small pieces, and then I'll even half them. So these will help in the middle and top layers. I also have a exercise roll, and these would be for the neck pieces in the design, for the shaping and molding. I'm actually thinking about what I'm going to do is probably cut this one half, and the other piece I'm going to have that one. So these are some of the things that you can use. You can get really creative thinking about what you have in the house. I use medicine balls, different sizes. I have like an 8-pound one as well. And initially I worked that with the neck piece of the shaping and molding. So I typically like to have pairs of these. I'll use hand weights, kettlebells, and just your basic weights. So if you don't have a lot of this on hand, don't worry, because I mean, at one point I used a 2-liter bottle of Coke, filled it with water, and use that to help me with the shaping. You could use the small little soda bottle ones. So these are basically, I think I've covered everything here that you will need. Definitely refer back to the introductory video as well as step 1 for more information about this, as well as the boxes and dimensions and things like that, the width of the boxes that you'll need. So thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, send me a message. If you haven't joined the Facebook group, Wings and Whispers, it's a great place for you to work right along with me. Ask any questions, share your progress, and just have fun with it. So again, that's Wings and Whispers Facebook group. So have a great day, and I can't wait to get started on the angel wings with you.